Namaste, dear youngsters. We'll start the class today by tuning in with 3 ums. Feel free to join me. Feel free to bring your hands in Namaste or on your heart and use your exhalation to sound the And use your chanting anytime during the day. Take a breath in to exhale. Another breath in. Today we're going to start the class with the only standing pose in yin yoga, dangling pose. You gotta get really comfortable in dangling pose as it can strain your lower back. So gently bending the knee helps a lot. Coming forward with your head weight. So you're pulling and decompressing the neck vertebrae. And here you can move left and right until you settle into the pose. When you're ready, see if you want to take your weight all the way forward on your toes or keep it central on the heels and the toes equally. If hugging the elbows is not comfortable, you can just simply drop the hands on the bolster the way I'm demonstrating. Exhale through the mouth as it helps you ease into the pose. We're going to work with our stomach and spleen meridians today that run through the inner part of the leg and in front of the torso. Stomach and spleen are our earth element in TCM, in traditional Chinese medicine. And this element is represented towards the end of summer as late summer, depending on where you are. So keep exhaling, a reminder that you can exhale through the mouth in yin yoga. And another reminder that coming out of each pose has to be really slow. So start to unwind slowly. Pull yourself up one vertebra at a time. Feel free to swing left and right if you need to. Place your hands on the thighs and shui shui. Slowly come up. Inhale. And exhale at the top of the pose. We're going to move into a yin squat that you can do it either with your bolster. If you think your heels don't touch the floor in your regular squat, you can give it a try by placing heels on the bolster or removing the bolster. If you have props like a block, that can also work. And as you settle here, inhale, push your elbows into the knees, widen the space between the knees, and exhale, relax and collapse forward. And do this a couple of more times. Take a breath and exhale, hugging your shoulders. So a yin squat is a little bit different than a yang squat, where you want less engagement of the muscles, yet they're working. And the weight of the body can either move forward on your toes, but if you feel too much compression on the ankle joint, you can try and lean back a little bit. It is really great for keeping our knees flexible. It's really good for releasing back pain, but sometimes holding the pose can start to bring up tension in the lower back. So if you can bear with it, work with your breath, and exhale. And the more you exhale, the more you ease sit bones towards the floor. And really, really slowly check in with your neck. Check in with the ankles. Where do you feel the more and the most part of your tension in the pose? Take one more breath there. And as you start to get ready to come out, want to be really gentle on the knees. So best way is to place the hands forward maybe and just settle back. And a great way is to extend the legs, allow the blood to flow around the knees. And it's just checking in with the lower back, warm the hands, warm the palms, and rub them next to the kidneys, around the kidneys. Exhale. Inhale. So any stretch or any pose can work as a rebound between the poses. I offer one, and you can also check in with your body and choose something different. The next pose might be a bit too much for some people watching the video, so we're gonna offer this option and then you can do another option. We're gonna do a saddle pose. Taking the leg, and the foot next to the body, bending from the knee, and of course you want to initiate the movement from the hip. You can tuck your toes under, or you can externally rotate and bring the toes out, so whatever feels more supported. Make sure the bolster is really supporting your lower back. Place a block under the bolster if it's too low. So if you roll back and the bent knee starts to lift, means you need to prop it with your foot or a blanket. But if you feel that you're super uncomfortable, you can definitely come out of the pose and modify in thread and needle. Bring your hands in any mudra that you feel comfortable with. Exhale, coming to a comfortable edge. We're going to hold it for 3 minutes. And we're going to use a very simple image of the breath for these 3 or 2.5 minutes to come. Start with taking the breath from your belly button all the way up, across the chest, up towards the third eye, and exhale through the back of the head, along the back, along the spine. So again, start your breath initiated from the belly button, up along the torso, towards your throat, third eye, crown chakra, and then exhale through the back of the head, along the spine, and down towards the tailbone. So take your time in connecting with the image of the breath. Exhale. When you exhale with an image at the back of the body, it means you're getting the back of the body really heavy. We're engaging also here the stomach meridian that runs around the center of the quad or the thigh, working with the leg that you're bending. So in yin yoga, we work with tendons, fascia, but you also want to connect with the organs we're working with. Placing a hand mudra can help you also calm down the mind in these poses, but if there's any sharp pain, definitely need to come out. As we start to get ready to come out of this pose, we held it for 3 minutes. You can take longer. Bend the straight leg, just step on the floor and bend it for a couple of breaths. So we're slowly checking in with the lower back, with the knee joint. With your thumb, press onto the heel or the arch or the foot, the toes. Remove the weight if you're using the weight and see how you can drag that leg and slowly extend it. Again, a rebound can be for 30 seconds. It's a resting pose, but it's also time where you're supposed to observe the sensations that we created in that target area. So, nice way here to release any tension is a very modified thread and needle. So just place left ankle on the right thigh. Gently push the left knee out. Rubbing also around the knee can help that blood flow. You can come all the way up and do the other side, or if you're comfortable with it, you can just... So we want in each pose, in each side, try and find that interesting space. I place the block here under the bolster if you find it helpful when you go down on the floor. There's many options I offer for my students when you're in a live class, but for now, just take care of yourself while you practice the poses. Prop with your foot, or simply, some people even can do the pose without the bolster. Saddle pose is wonderful for increasing work of the stomach and the spleen meridians. And remember that also these meridians run at the front of the body. So it's always a good reminder. Those organs that always serve us, always working to give them this space, this resting time. Placing the hand mudra, any hand mudra that you're comfortable or feel grounded in. Chin mudra, the thumb and index finger, the tip of these fingers touching is always grounding when I practice. I use it a lot. And then use any breath image or go back to that connection between the belly button and the top of the head with your inhale. And exhale through the back of the body, down to the tailbone. Whatever supports your practice today. And whatever helps you feel grounded in the pose. You don't want to feel that you're floating unsupported. In yin yoga, remind yourself that you're grounding with your props, the mat, the floor under you, and of course your breath. Especially the breath at the center of the body, the belly button. So I give you the rest of the time, just breathe in. Start to take all your attention also to the face before we come out. If there's any tension there, release that tension in the jaw, and the teeth, around the teeth and the jaw. there should be zero tolerance for pain in the knee. So to come out, start to get ready, bend the straight leg. Take a breath, exhale it. And slowly, slowly finding our way out of the pose. Give that like space. This is what we work with mostly in yin yoga. Create space, physical, mental. The more you practice it, the more you feel that your joints have the space, which means the fluids are flowing much easier, smoother. Come into this modified thread and needle, right ankle on the left thigh, and feel free to stay in it as long as you want. You can pause the video, you can stay longer. Rubbing around the knee is really, really helpful for the fluids to go. Yes, and slowly come up, take a breath. Exhaling as you move. Our next one is drag, and a little bit too much for some people, but again, we have so many modifications. I like to use the bolster under the knee, so there's full support for the knee. The toes are touching the mat. My knee is really supported. I bring the opposite leg. So as if you're doing a lunge, you can stay up or you can move that front foot forward. Just make sure the front knee doesn't go beyond the toes. So we're not actually working with the front leg, we are working with the back leg. The front hip flexors is with the back leg. This is where we're working. If you want to go lower, you can go on the side of the front foot. So outer edge of the front foot. Use the blocks appropriately. And if you want to add a twist, you can do it this way. Just remember, this is not a competition with your body. It's not a competition about how low you can go in this, because inner thighs can easily get ripped in this one. So be mindful, be gentle. Just to focus on the front hip flexors of the back leg. This is where we want to ease off. And this is also great preparation for a split pose. Anyone who's working on their splits can find this really helpful. Holding it less than 3 minutes here, but it's up to you. Depends on your practice and how long you want to hold it. So if you feel the head is dangling, support it with a block. Make sure you're exhaling through the mouth. You can even use a stronger form of ujjayi here. Slowly coming out. Sit all the way back if possible. Inhale and exhale, lower. Yes, and then very slowly you can come into a center forward dangle just to release the back of the leg. Any rebound here. And slowly move yourself to the other side. So the other knee is resting on the bolster, fully supported. You can stay here, go lower, 1 inch at a time. Remember, no rush. It's not a competition. And there's a lot of pressure on the shoulder joint here. So be mindful of the joint, of your shoulder. Make sure you're enjoying the pose, whatever variation you do. And your indication is your breath. If your breath is rhythmic, because dragon pose is more yang than yin. Exhale. maybe 1 minute, maybe 2 minutes. You can even start with 30 seconds in dragon. Dragon is one of those poses where you work with gradually, slowly, really easy come up. You can come out in downward dog or any other form. From here, take both knees on the bolster. Take your hands at the back pocket, back of the body. Inhale, stretch back. Exhale, stretch sideways. Take a breath and exhale. Take your time in the transition. There's no rush here. Sometimes you can take more than 30 seconds. I want to take a few cat-cows here just to release the back. Inhale and exhale into your cat pose. Inhale, look forward, and exhale, push the floor away. Nice, remember space, always. We're gonna move slowly into what I call melting candle pose. I'm gonna place the blanket underneath. A lot of people can find it difficult to go forward in this pose, so I choose this variation where I'm sitting on a thin blanket, but it helps. And whatever first leg comes for automatically for you, you go ahead and use it. Make sure you're bending from the hip joint. If you can do 2 legs, that's wonderful. The really important thing here is when you go forward, make sure that you're doing it gradually. Gentle rounding on the back, not too much rounding. And sometimes we rush to go all the way down, but don't rush. Do it slowly. I would rather we start up and then gradually move down than going quickly all the way down and then losing that hold where we can't hold it for a long time. Exhale, move with your breath. Head on the knee. If it doesn't reach the knee, place the block or the bolster. Melting candle is a beautiful way. Another name for it is shoelace. I call it melting candle because I feel that slowly you melt into this pose. You slowly go deeper forward. Even if not from the first time, it's a pose where you feel the progression of the practice. Working deeply on opening a hip joint. Also working on the digestive tract. It's a forward bend. It's compressing. Make sure that lower knee is comfortable with no pain. Keep the breath smooth. We do encourage people to stay in the poses still, but sometimes movement is part of adjusting or it's part of going deeper in the pose. So don't be obsessed about not moving and allow the body to move when needed. We need to adjust and we need to work with the poses really slowly. So what's more important is patience. Be patient with your body, be patient with your joints, be kind on the body tissues. And if you can't hold the full time of the pose, you can come up, stay there for the remaining time. Today's poses are 3 minutes each, but you can stop the video and go longer as long as you use your own timer. Exhale. As long as you do the same time on each side. Wonderful for keeping the hip joint flexible, lubricated, the knee joints lubricated. So we worked a lot on the knees today, the knee joint. before you come up, to prepare yourself to come up, maybe tap with your hand in a fist on the glutes, the hips. And when you come up, we're gonna take it next into a square pose. So lower leg, lean back and bring it alongside the top of the mat. Make sure the top foot and the toes are facing back, fully flexed. If there's too much space, place a block. Take a breath. Exhale and place gentle weight on the top knee. If it's too much on the hip joint here, back off and come up again. Work this one gradually. We're not going to hold it for 3 minutes or 2 minutes. It's just using it as a transition today. You can go deeper. Place the hands forward and go all the way down. That's again another option. Slowly lean back. Release the lower leg. Pull the outside of the top foot. Extend it and maybe add a twist. Releasing both legs. Make a little bit space. Move forward if you feel like it. And then each side, inhale, exhale over one leg and switch. Inhale and exhale. We don't have to reach, just want to get comfortable. We're going to do melting candle on the other side. Initiate the movement from the hip, bend the knee, hold it here. But if you can do both legs, go ahead. And here we are, we end up in a melting candle. If you have the weight, you want to place it. I'm going to place it on my shoulders here. This side is easier for me to go deeper. But I'm going to show you how, yes, the bolster here can be used. Or simply go forward. Exhale, exhale, gentle rounding in the back. Hold the comfortable edge. The weight on the back can help you go deeper, but if you're finding yourself resisting against it, then try to avoid that and just allow the weight to help you ground and exhale. Great. Keeping the chin in can also help engage the bladder meridian at the back of the body. While we're here in melting candle, it's a good way to engage it since it runs all along the back of the body. Many poses in yin yoga, most of them engage more than one meridian. There's not one pose that engages only one meridian or two or one element. Usually it's a combination, and it's a beautiful combination. The outcome is a balanced kind of practice. Try to be still, but if you feel that movement can keep you safe, go ahead, adjust. Stopping the video to use your timer, or simply join me in simple movement, coming up and down a few times with the breath until I find my way all the way up. Check in with my neck, check in with the shoulders. Take a breath, inhale and exhale in neutral, or go again deep. So holding for time can look different from one person to the other and from one pose to the other. There's no one way to do this. Gently tap on that glute and hip and thigh. And we're gonna move into square, same way. Lean back so you bring the lower leg. Both feet should be flexed the whole time. This side for me is easier, so I can go a little bit deeper. Go with your own pace. It's a great release for the tension around the lumbar spine. As long as you feel that it is a release, and as long as you're using your breath. So if there's pain somewhere and you're holding your breath, try to let go. Exhale. Beautiful. Really do this slowly, coming out, and yeah, taking an extra twist. Before we go to the last pose, I'd like us to take a twist, a simple one this time. It's going to be a twist with the bolster support. Place a bolster or a big pillow between the knees. Take a breath. Exhale, pull the knees to the chest, open the arms, and one hand to support your twist. So either twist the knees to the right or to the left. And then look away from the knees. So both shoulders can be touching the floor, but it's not a must. One shoulder can be slightly off the floor. Exhale. These twists really engage the stomach meridian, the front of the body. So make sure you're really comfortable there. They also engage the digestive tract, so we feel that something is happening. Feel the release along the lower back. Twists are just beautiful way to get things moving, get tension out of the way. Your complement is always your breath. The breath does not leave you while you're practicing. It's always present in your mind, and your movement is always with your breath. And this is how we should be off our mat. We use the breath in or out depending on what we're doing, and we use the power of the breath. We ease it, we smooth it, we slow it down, we deepen it, we lengthen the exhale. So many ways just to enjoy the different functions of our breath. And just noticing what it does to the body and the mind, most importantly. See how we want to come out gently when the time is up. Notice that the breath will support you when you want to come out of the pose. The inhale is usually a good way to initiate movement. The exhale is good to help you settle or go in a forward bend. So next time you move, just notice how my breath is moving with me, or how I want my breath to move with me. If your knees are to the right, notice the breath underneath the left rib cage, and the left ribs, where the stomach and spleen are, the actual organ. Take a breath and slowly inhale and exhale at the center. So at the center, you can tuck your tailbone a few times in, giving space for the lower back. Bend one knee to the chest, one at a time. Stretch if we need to. This is the space that's for you to decide what you want to do between the poses. You go to the other side, take a breath, exhale. And we hold. Interesting sensations on this side. Different sensations on this side. When I practice, I usually look for these sensations that feel like something is pulling. But it's not painful. But I know this is a tendon or ligament, something that's releasing a tension. So as you're in each pose, go and look for these sensations. Go after these sensations. And when you find one that's quite stiff or tense, just take a breath. Exhale it. It will help this pull to become a release. We want each sensation to be a release in Yin Yoga. If your knees are bent to the left, enjoy breathing underneath the right ribs. The liver is staying in our twist can give the space these organs need, whether on the right side or the left side for the stomach and the spleen. With every exhale, you are bringing more space, not just between the ribs, but underneath the ribs, towards the back of the body and towards the front of the body. So enjoy being on the side. And notice the breath as you start to come out. So bring the head to the center to begin with. And slowly come out. Exhale, tuck the tailbone or simply drop the knees left and right in windshield. Bring the feet off the floor and maybe a few circles with the knees. We're gonna end with, of course, one of everyone's favorite, butterfly. I'm gonna have it supported with a bolster under the feet. I'm gonna use my weights over the knees. So use whatever props you have, and of course the eye pillow when I go down on the mat. So now slowly lie back, bring the bolster closer, and of course my blanket, as the body tends to cool down in general in the practice, for most people at least. And if you have eye pillow or just a simple towel, small towel, place it over the eyes. Rest the hands either over the head or beside the body. And And here I'd like us to just use a very simple belly breath. With every exhale, relax one muscle in the face. Start with the forehead, around the eyes, around the nose, around the ears, around the mouth, and around the jaw. Let there be space around and between the teeth. Feel the space around the throat, sides of the neck. Breathing a rhythmic belly breath can help us stimulate the work of our vagus nerve, that longest nerve in the body that really sends relaxation signals to the nervous system, but also to the organs. So it's really helpful to practice this belly breath before we sleep, because the body is working when we're sleeping. The body is always working hard. And the best way to thank the body is through a practice like yin yoga, where you are really listening also to the body, the stories that come out from the different parts of the joints. So I'll leave you here to enjoy it. You can stop the video and take longer time here, or simply go into your meditation or pratyahara practice, where you withdraw the senses deeply into each pose. Exhale. The hands are over the head. Slowly bring them beside you. If you're using weights, remove them and use the hands with the breath. Shway, shway. Slowly bring the knees together. Extend the legs. And start to get ready to come out of the pose. If you're practicing the pose before you sleep, that's wonderful. Relax the jaw, open the mouth a few times, hug yourself, thank yourself for the time you took for your practice today. It's really important to thank yourself. And when you're ready to come out, sitting comfortably in Sukhasana. Thanking everyone for joining me. Thank your teachers. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And namaste, everyone.